From the corner of the library in North Las Vegas, welcome to Episode 3 of the Canyon Springs High School Library Media Center podcast. Well, that's a mouthful. I'm your host, Dr. Rico. This podcast discusses what's going on at the Library Media Center, reading materials, and much more. Today, our special guest is Mr. Marco Mercado, the site coordinator for communities and schools of Southern Nevada. We'll have him on, and also the Library News Minute. A lot to cover, so let's get into it. Welcome, Mr. Marco. It's taken a lot of time to get you here. I apologize for falling ill and having to reschedule, but the time has finally come. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Good to hear. We'll get into that interview and a few other segments like I mentioned. Please feel free to chime in anytime as you hear my segment here. So, first off, we are going to start out with something. I'd like to get your little opinion on it. It's something called the Library News Minute, which will probably go longer than a minute. All right. So before we get into your interview, here it is, the Library News Minute. So to celebrate Black History Month, we have our new collection called World Class African American Athletes, books on display here at the library, along with an interactive door decoration. Folks, if you're passing by, hit the QR code and match the athletes to the names. These are all African American athletes, including two who are Canyon Springs graduates who played in the NFL. Our community puzzle is a tough one. It's the Mona Lisa, but we're getting there. And actually, I stopped by a social studies classroom, and there's buzz about it. They made the connection between the Renaissance and the puzzle, so we're happy about that. In a few weeks, we are getting ready here for Nevada Reading Week, which is actually a month away, but we'll have contests, activities, and prizes daily, including the Canyon Springs School-Wide Reading Challenge. And that's our Library News Minute or Minutes? I'm not sure.
I'm like, were you timing it?
I don't know. Did anybody get the time on that? Well, we'll figure that out later. So again, welcome, Mr. Marco. And just want to start out, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Marco Mercado. I've always gone by Mr. Marco. I always say that Mr. Mercado is my father, type of thing when students ask.
Oh, so I got it right.
Yes, you absolutely
Awesome.
did. I've been here at Canyon. This is my second school year. Prior to this, I was at an elementary school, still being a site coordinator. And something that I feel like the kids don't know, or anybody really, unless I mention it, is that I actually graduated from Cheyenne High School, which is right up the street. And I will say that if I knew a little bit more about Canyon, I think I've actually would have wanted to come here to, have my whole high school experience, my high school career, and everything like that.
Yeah, we have some good magnet programs. My kids are in third and kindergarten, but already my kindergartner likes video and making things, and we have the media magnet now. So maybe, we'll see.
Wow.
It's, 9 years away?
I mean, it's never too early.
Yep.
It's never too early.
So, where did you go to university, and what did you study, things like that?
So another thing actually that is kind of crazy to share. I actually didn't graduate high school on time due to proficiency testing, if you know what that is. So pretty much I was one of those students that got to walk, but, pretty much after graduation, you're still having to prepare to take this test, pass it, and everything of that sort. I was one of the few that actually came back, passed it. I feel like a lot of kids just wanted to walk and be a part of the ceremony, and they were just kind of like, eh. So pretty much I missed out on, my first, fall semester of college. But then pretty much I started spring. Oh, when did I graduate? Oh, well, I have it on my shirt, so I did wear it 2013. So I started spring of 2014, and I actually started at the CSN, so the community college. From there, I was there about a year, I want to say maybe 3 semesters, and then pretty much transferred to UNLV. Went to UNLV. I was always a hospitality management major. And then once I kind of got working into the field, I switched my major to human services.
How come?
I only got into hospitality because my entire family was in it.
Okay.
My parents, My brother graduated from University of Hilo, and when he came back here, right into the hospitality industry. So, I think at that time I wasn't really thinking about leaving Vegas or anything of that sort. So I was just like, you get into the industry.
It's a tough field. The hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny story. So I really enjoyed the classes. I enjoyed learning everything about it, old Vegas, the mobster era, kind of everything of that sort. And I got my first job as a busser, and I hated it. I hated it. It didn't make me want to like move up. I didn't even feel confident to even be like a manager of a restaurant or a certain department or anything of that sort. And kind of I was a little, how do I say it? I think I kind of just knew like hospitality wasn't really my passion, but it was also like I never really thought about anything else until I got the opportunity to have human services jobs. And I think I was just mentioning like, oh, if there was a major for this, I would absolutely do this. And that's kind of how I got into human services, a little bit more research. So, a big piece of advice I could tell the kids is you may start off with something and you might change your mind, and that's completely okay, because for the most part, you should be liking what you do, what you're studying for. Maybe you might think that, oh, I wanted to do this career, but then I actually going to do this, but it's still kind of in the same thing. So I've learned over time, and as I get older, that, changing your mind is just part of life.
Yep.
It's
I
just
had
part
a
of
professor right before I was getting ready to graduate the State University of New York at Albany, Bill Rainbolt, journalism professor. He gave me this advice. He said, you have 10 years to figure it out after you graduate college. And originally I wanted to go into TV and production, and I did. And then I was working 80, 90 hours a week, no benefits, health benefits. So then I had family who were in education and became a teacher. So I figured it out in about 2 years after college.
Nice.
But some people, they struggle. I have friends who didn't figure it out till they're in their 40s, so I don't think students should ever like say, oh, well, that's it. I have to pick this one career, and that's it.
And I think it's, obviously we try to get the students to stay on track, make it to graduation, have a plan for after, or at least that's kind of what I do with my students. That's kind of how all of the site coordinators go, because I'm not the only site coordinator on campus. We have 3 other amazing site coordinators, and I feel like sometimes they're just thinking like, oh, time is running out. Like if I don't have it figured out, I'm not going to succeed or whatever the case is. And, that's why I just try to tell them like, hey, you got a plan, go ahead and try it. If it doesn't work out, you move on to something else. You don't harp on it. I think the biggest thing is like, you got to learn lessons through everything that you go through in life, whether it's positive or negative. So I think that's life experience. If anything, life has taught me more than any school, institution, anything of that sort. You know what I mean? You gotta go through it. So.
Sure. So I'm not familiar with communities and schools, and you're the expert on it. Can you tell us about it? I've heard wonderful things about it. I shouldn't say that.
Sure?
I know some. I know some things about it, but I'm going to let you fully explain it. So, could you tell us about it?
Yes. So, communities and schools, we are the #1 dropout prevention program. So pretty much, schools kind of have to request us, like in a sense. They pretty much put us. They'll put us at the school as a site coordinator, and pretty much our job is to case manage students one-on-one, giving them supports in any type of areas, like such as attendance, behavior, course performance, SEL, social emotional learning, and pretty much just kind of anything that the school needs. A lot of the times when you think about communities and school site coordinators, they're very adaptable, very flexible. We're not opposed to change. That's why when it came to finally being here, it was just like, oh, I'm super flexible, super adaptable.
Yeah.
Like we can make this work. I think it's just kind of a quality that you have to have, because you never know and the thing is, at every school, every site coordinator is doing different things. One school, they might be working on their attendance as a school wide. One school, they might be working on their SEL. One school might be working on graduation. And that is actually what we're working on this school year with community and schools, bumping up our graduation, our overall graduation rate.
So I see you have how many people on staff in your department?
We have just alone on campus. We have 4. So we
Four.
have myself, Mr.
Uh-huh.
Marco, my partner that I share the office with, Miss Burgundy, and then in the other office we have Mick Simran, and then we have Miss Atia.
Okay.
So
Cool. And so, a little bit about the history of it. I from what I heard, Congresswoman Susie Lee had created this program.
I don't know. No, she didn't create the program. Who created it was our founder, Bill Milliken.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill Milliken.
Did she have something to do with it?
Yeah,
or-
so I think
okay.
she might serve as a board member,
Okay.
or might even have, like, certain initiatives or certain things that got started. She may have had a role in it, but no, it all had to do with our founder, Bill Milliken. Yeah.
Do you have any success stories you could tell us about?
Just right off the bat,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say, just right off the top of my head, last year I was the site coordinator for the junior academy class, and just kind of overall, the beginning of the year, the kids did not care. They were just kind of just in the class, not really doing anything. They didn't know what they wanted to do. A lot of them didn't care about their grades, didn't think it was important. And pretty much by all the different programs that we had, such as Career Edge, I had a ton of guest speakers. I had musician people in HVAC. I had people from, different colleges, different universities, everything of that sort. Took them on field trips, and kind of just, continuing on, like, it wasn't like, oh, well, if they don't care, I don't. It's like, I'm still going to do my part. And at the end of the day, nothing changes overnight. Pretty much by the end of the year, every student in there had got their grades up. Their GPA had gone up. They were definitely looking into more like different careers or what I want to do for college. One big point of the class was if you needed help with like credit retrieval. Majority of the kids got their credit retrieval. They didn't have to deal with it their senior year or even over the summer. Some of them might got it completely done over the summer. But I think just as a class whole, there was just so much progress in so many areas, not just academically, but also just personally. I have students that, they work under their families. They have their own businesses. They're trying, I think I had students that were doing like nails and lashes and, you know what I mean, all that type of stuff. And honestly, I feel like it all started with the rapport that I had with each student, because not only is it a class, but any student that is on our caseload, we meet with them one-on-one to support them in whatever their goal is. But also, we're kind of like, I kind of look at it as like we're their therapists without being their therapist, right? Eventually they get to the point where they vent to us, they ask us for advice. Eventually they start checking in on us, like, how are you doing? And it means a lot, because although the job does come with, sometimes challenges, stress, overwhelmness, at the end of the day, when you work for communities and schools and you're a site coordinator, you have the passion for the kids, the youth. You want to make an impact. And I think that's just super important, and kind of very important when it comes to those rapports and those relationships. How do you expect a student to improve on their academics, behavior, their grades, if you don't have any type of relationship with them? There's no type of, trust or whatever the case is. And, I think that's first and foremost, like, the first thing.